So in this particular tutorial, tutorial number 2, we're going to discuss how to create a montage. So before you get too excited about the content, all of these images here are predefined, and they're actually taken from an artist, Dave Brinda, who I just found randomly on the internet. So the idea is not to create these images themselves, but to arrange them on a new image, for example, creating for posters or design boards for projects. So in this case we have one large image and we have 4 supplemental images. So we want to arrange them nicely proportioned, etc. on the screen. And we also have a tag down the bottom, a text area, which I'm not going to reproduce as exactly like this. We're going to put in our own information. So main image, supplemental images, borders that are applied, and also this tag area down the bottom of the page or bottom of the image. I'm going to close the existing image, and before we open up any of the other images, I'm going to draw your attention to I'm going to draw your attention to the actual files themselves. So if I have a look here, you can see that I've given or supplied 5 images, and those 5 images all have a dimension. So we can see here the pixel size, so 800 by 400, approximately 200 by 150. So all these supplemental images are much smaller. Now this is going to be the main image. Now if I have a look at the image dimensions, because I'm working with existing images, I can't really do anything to make this image much bigger. So in reality it's quite a small image for printing purposes, but it would suffice if we were putting it up on a web page or if we were showing it on a PowerPoint presentation. So based around the size of this main image, I'm going to assume, let's say, a new image size of, let's say, 1000 pixels wide, which gives me 100 pixel border on each size, plus the 400 for the main image, plus a small gap, 150 high for the strip of small images, which is about, we call that about 600 pixels, plus the text area, plus another border area, about 650 pixels high the image will be. So now what I will do is I'll switch back into GIMP and I'll create a new image, and here I'll define the pixel size manually, so 1000 pixels by 650. Okay, and I click OK, or making sure that I have a transparent, oh no, actually I'll leave it as a white border. Okay, we click OK, and it creates our new image. Now the new image stretches over past the border of the current screen, and it obscures our toolboxes. So I'm going to zoom back out again, I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to scroll backwards with the mouse. And that in turn gives me the ability to see the image, okay, while still having access to the toolbars without obscuring any of the main image. So one easy way of bringing in images into an existing document is simply to drag and drop from a folder location. So if I was to drag and drop the image, you can see there now that it drops the image into place. It copies the content from the original image file into the new image file, and it also places it onto a new layer. Okay, it positions the image centrally, and before I continue to add all the information, what I am going to do is I'm going to undo that, and we're going to set up the page. We're going to arrange the page using guides. These guides allow me to divide up the page in correct proportions. The benefit of guides is that they also allow me to snap the image content to the existing guides. So it means that I can push an image up and rest it against the guide, thus allowing the proportions of the images to be arranged properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to add some guides. So from the image pull down menu, I can add a new guide by percentage, or I can add a new guide by pixel. So if I add a new guide, I'm going to take a horizontal guide, and I'm going to place it 100 pixels down from the top of the page. The position here, I don't know if you noticed the rulers that are showing up along the top of the image toolbar. You'll see there that the left hand side of the image is considered 0, as is the top. So if I create a guide 100 pixels, okay, or even let's say 50 pixels, okay, I click OK, and it places a new guide. If I repeat that, and if I create a new guide that is vertical, with a 100 position. I get my framed border on the left hand side, and if I repeat that again, 900 pixels, it means now that the two guides that I've placed, being 100 pixels on either side, give me an 800 pixel wide internal border. This is what I'm going to use now to place and position the main image and rest it up against this area here. I'm going to create another new guide. It's going to be 100 pixels, let's say 75 pixels on the horizontal, but actually because the image is 650 pixels high, it's actually going to be 575 pixels. So that gives me a border down here, which is what I'm going to use to place the text. And that should leave me now with, if I was to measure, from there all the way down to here, tells me that I have 525 pixels. Now that's actually not enough. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because I need 400 pixels high plus 150 for the supplemental images, so what I'll do is I will escape out of that, and I will undo the horizontal guide and I'll add a smaller guide. So I'll add a 50 pixel guide, which should be 600 pixels from the top horizontal. So now I have this area here I'm going to use for text. Now that the guides have been placed for the main image, I'm going to place some supplemental guides internally inside. But this time I'm going to just click and drag. Right? I'm going to click and drag on a new guide. I'm going to place one just to the left. Again, note the rulers up here, so I'm going to place one just slightly off of center. And I'm going to click and drag, place one slightly off of center, and then click and drag at just past, okay, 250 pixels should suffice, and maybe I put it just there, and another guide just there. Now these are for the supplemental images at the bottom, so they should fit all in this area here. So I'll be able to rest an image up against each of these guides. So now that the guides have all been set up, now I can continue on to import or drag in the images, the images that are supplied into this montage image. So we'll talk about that in the next chapter.